and all. I welcome you all to the next session of thermodynamics. In the last class, we have discussed the basic concepts of thermodynamics, that is, introduction, applications of thermodynamics, system, system boundary, surroundings, example for system boundary, example for surroundings. Then after, system can be classified into three types: open system, closed system, and isolated system. In that, what is open system? Example for open system. What is closed system? Example for closed system. What is isolated system? The example for isolated system. The last class we have discussed up to isolated system. Now I'll start. The next topic in thermodynamics is thermodynamic property. Yes. First, we'll go through the definition. The physical condition of a system may be described by certain distinguishing characteristics are called properties of a system. If you want to say thermodynamic properties, we should go through the characteristics of the thermodynamic. We should go through the characteristics of the thermodynamics. Those characteristics are called as thermodynamic properties. Which are the characteristics of the thermodynamics? They are temperature, pressure, volume, internal energy, enthalpy, entropy, and specific volume, and etc. Many properties are there. I was listed here only few properties: temperature, pressure, volume, and internal energy. Many properties are there. Okay, all these properties are the thermodynamic properties. All these properties are the thermodynamic properties because these are the characteristics of the thermodynamics. Because these are the characteristics of the thermodynamics, that's why these are the thermodynamic properties. Then the thermodynamic property can be divided into two types. Which are those? First one is intensive property, second one is extensive property. Next, what is intensive property? In the name itself, intensive, independent of the mass. Intensive, independent of the mass. You should remember, intensive, independent of the mass. Yes, intensive property. The properties or the thermodynamic properties which are independent of mass, those are known as an intensive properties. I hope it's clear to you. Intensive properties are those thermodynamic properties which are independent of mass. Which are independent of mass. Example for intensive properties are temperature, velocity, acceleration, and any specific extensive properties is an intensive property. Temperature. Why temperature is an intensive property? Because temperature is not dependent on the mass. That's why it is an intensive property. Velocity. Why velocity is an intensive property? Because velocity is not dependent on the mass. Velocity is not dependent on the mass. Why acceleration is an intensive property? Acceleration is not dependent on the mass. That's why any property which are independent on the mass, those properties are known as intensive properties. Next, second one is extensive property. What is extensive property? The properties which are dependent upon the mass are known as extensive properties. The properties which are dependent upon the mass, those properties are called as extensive properties. Example for extensive properties are enthalpy. Unit of the enthalpy is kilojoule per kg. It is dependent on the mass. Next example is entropy. It is dependent on the mass. Next example is internal energy. Unit of the internal energy is kilojoule per kg. That is also dependent on the mass. Kinetic energy, half me square. Kinetic energy equal to half me square. That is also dependent on the mass. Potential energy, that is also dependent on the mass, and etc. Any property which are dependent on the mass, those properties are called as extensive property. Next, thermodynamic state of a system. Before going to the thermodynamic state of a system, first I'll ask one question to you. If you want to draw a graph, for plotting a graph, you need how many parameters? Minimum parameters two. One is along x-axis, one is along x-axis, one variable is along x-axis, another variable is along y-axis. If you want to plot a graph, you need two variables. One is along x-axis, another one is along y-axis. If you know these two variables, then you can easily plot, you can easily identify the number of points in the graph. After that, you can join all these points. That is a graph. Either it might be in physics or chemistry, wherever you are plotting a graph. In those cases, you must know two variables, one along x-axis and another one is along y-axis. Based on the two variables, you are identifying the point, first point, second point, third point, fourth point, like that. Each point in the graph represents one state of a system. Each point in the graph represents one state of a system. Yes. Next, go through the definition. What is definition? Thermodynamic state of a system. The state of a system is characterized by certain specific thermodynamic coordinates. Here coordinates are nothing but the variables which are independent in nature. Certain specific thermodynamic coordinates which are independent in nature. That means here two variables are there. These are nothing but the coordinates. One is along x-axis and the one is along y-axis. Those two variables are thermodynamic variables or thermodynamic coordinates. You need not take other than thermodynamic coordinates. In that, if you identify any single point, each point represents one state of a system. This is first state of a system. This one is second state of a system. This one is third state of a system. Like that, you can get n number of states based on the variables. Based on the variables. For state 1, you are getting a variable v1 and variable v2. If you consider pressure along y-axis and volume along x-axis, one variable pressure along y-axis and volume along x-axis, at state 1 pressure is p1 and volume is v1. At state 2 pressure is p2 and volume is v2. At state 3 pressure is p3 and volume is v3. Like that, two variables are gets varying from state 1 to state 2, state 2 to state 3, state 3 to state 4. Like that, if any variable gets vary from one state to another state, that is called as change of state. That is called as change of state. Yes, the thermodynamic coordinates or the thermodynamic variables are pressure and volume, volume and temperature, temperature and pressure, enthalpy and entropy. I'll repeat again, please concentrate. The state of a system is characterized by certain specific thermodynamic coordinates which are independent in nature, like pressure and volume independent in nature, volume and temperature independent in nature, temperature and pressure independent in nature, enthalpy and entropy independent in nature. If you plot a graph pressure versus volume, pressure along y-axis and volume along x-axis, at state 1 pressure is P1 and volume is V1. At state 2 pressure is P2 and volume is V2. Like that, if you find any single point in the graph, that single point represents a state of a system. A state of a system. Just go here. Generally, the state of a system can be represented by a point on the graph. I told earlier, a point on the graph whose coordinates are thermodynamic properties. This is very important. Whose coordinates are thermodynamic properties. At point 1, coordinates are P1 and V1. At point 2, coordinates are P2 and V2. These coordinates with respect to these points are the thermodynamic properties. Other than thermodynamic properties, if you are taking any property, that is not a state of a system. That is not a thermodynamic state of a system. That is a state of a system, but that is not a thermodynamic state of a system. If you want to say it is a thermodynamic state of a system, the properties must be a thermodynamic properties. The properties must be thermodynamic properties. Just go through the below figure A, figure B, figure C, and figure D. In figure A, first coordinate or the first variable is along y-axis, that is pressure, and along x-axis it is volume. Two variables, pressure and volume. With respect to two coordinates or two variables, I am getting a points on the graph, first point and second point. At first point, I'm getting the two coordinates P1 and V1. With respect to point 1, I'm getting two variables or two coordinates P1 and V1. At second point, I'm getting the two variables or two coordinates P2 and V2. Yes, each point in the graph represents a state, a single state. This is state 1. With respect to state 1, coordinates are P1 and V1. With respect to state 2, coordinates are P2 and V2. Like that, if you consider volume and temperature, volume versus temperature. Here volume along y-axis and temperature along x-axis. These two are the thermodynamic properties. Each point in the plot represents one state. Yes, at state 1, coordinates are V1 and T1. At state 2, coordinates are V2 and T2. Like that, temperature versus pressure and enthalpy versus entropy. Next, this is very important. Change of state. What is change of state? If any one of the thermodynamic coordinates or both changes, then the system is said to be undergone a change of state. This is the definition. I'll go through again. If any one of the thermodynamic coordinates or both changes, then the system is said to be undergone a change of state. We just go through this figure. This is first figure. Go through first figure, figure A. Here two variables are pressure and volume. I plot a graph, pressure versus volume. Pressure along y-axis and volume along x-axis. Here at state 1, pressure P1 and volume V1. These two are the coordinates. As state 2, pressure P2 and volume V2. From the definition, if any one of the thermodynamic coordinates, either pressure or volume gets changed, or both the changes, both pressure and volume gets changes, such a system is said to be undergo a change of state. A change of state. Just go here from the definition, change of the state. If any one of the thermodynamic coordinates or both gets changes, then the system is said to be undergo a change of state, right? Here I'll take figure A, pressure versus volume, state 1 and state 2. At state 1, the coordinates are P1 V1, state 2, the coordinates are P2 V2. In this case, both pressure as well as volume gets changed from P1 V1 to P2 V2, right? Or any one instead of both. If you take any one, assume that this is a vertical line. Assume that this is a vertical line. This is pressure P1 and volume V1, and at point 2, pressure P2 and volume V2. Yes, V1 equal to V2. In this case, V1 equal to V2. Yes, volume remains constant. Only the pressure gets vary from P1 to P2. Only one coordinate gets changed. Only one coordinate gets changed. This is also a change of state. This is also a change of states. That's why if any one of the thermodynamic coordinates or both gets changed, then The system is said to be a change of state. Change of state from state 1 to state 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, like that, n number of states. N number of states. Then process. This is very important. What is process? The locus of series of change of states gives a process. Very simple. Just go here. This is a pressure versus volume plot. In the pressure versus volume, you identify n number of states. State 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that, n number of states are there. If you connect state 1 to state 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, like n number of states, it gives one process. This is called as one process. The series of locus of all the points in the plot, it gives a process. It gives a process. The process can be divided into two types. Which are those? First one is reversible process. Second one is irreversible process. What is reversible process? What is irreversible process? This is very important. Please concentrate. Reversible process is a process which can be made to exactly replace its path without suffering any deviation. Reversible process is a process which can be made to exactly replace its path without suffering any deviation. Such process are called as reversible process. If there is no deviation, such process is called as a reversible process. How to remember this one? Yes, during a rest hour, if you are moving from your classroom to the canteen, followed by a single path, path A. Again, once the rest hour gets completed, if you are coming back from your canteen to the college classroom, followed by same path A, followed by same path A, such process is called as a reversible process. Such process is called as reversible process. If you have taken any deviation, if you have not followed the same path, that is called as irreversible process. That is called as irreversible process. Example for reversible process is any process in which there is no friction or loss is called as a reversible process. Best example is electroplating. Electroplating. I think many of you know what is electroplating. If anode is made to cathode and cathode is made to anode, whatever the materials are gets deposited, those materials can be redeposited back. That is called as electroplating. This is the best example for reversible process. Next is irreversible process. This is very important. Irreversible process is a process which cannot be made to exactly replace its path without suffering any deviation. That means, best example how to remember here, if you are moving during the rest hour, if you are moving from your classroom to the canteen, followed by a path A, followed by path A. If you are not followed the path A, once you are moving coming back from your canteen to the classroom, that is an irreversible process. That is an irreversible process. And the best example how to remember here, once you are moving from your house to the college, followed by one path, followed by one particular path. Again, if you are moving from your college to the house, once the college gets over, if you're moving from your college to the house, followed by another path, such process are called as a reversible process. If you followed same path, that is a reversible process. If you have taken any deviation in the path, that is called as a reversible process. That is called as a reversible process. Best example for irreversible process is any process in which there is a friction or loss is called as an irreversible process. Sun energy. This is the best example for irreversible process, and combustion of the fuel. Combustion of the fuel is the best example for irreversible process. Next is thermodynamic cycle. What is thermodynamic cycle? This is very important. The series of thermodynamic processes constitute a thermodynamic cycle. The initial and final states are identical. This is a very important condition. Initial and final states are identical. This is very important condition. Yes, you just go through here. Series of thermodynamic process constitute a thermodynamic cycle. One cycle. Okay. How to construct a cycle? Starting from first point. One process, second process, third process, fourth process, fifth process, n number of process. Finally, it reaches to the its original state. Yes, this is one cycle. This is one cycle. This cycle is having n number of thermodynamic processes. N number of thermodynamic processes. You just go here again the definition. The series of thermodynamic processes constitute a thermodynamic cycle, but the initial and final states are identical, same. Here the series of thermodynamic process 1 to 2, 2 to 3 second process, 3 to 4 third process, 4 to 5 fourth process, 5 to 6 fifth process, 6 to again 1 sixth process. Yes, but one condition, initial state and final states remains same. Such process is called as a thermodynamic cycle. Thermodynamic cycle. Then one note is there. The minimum number of processes required for a thermodynamic cycle are 2. The minimum number of processes required for a thermodynamic cycle are 2. If you are taken less than 2, then it is not possible. If you are taken less than 2, then it is not possible. Minimum number of process required for constructing one thermodynamic cycle is 2, and maximum is n number of process. Maximum is n number of process. You just observe here pressure versus volume. Here 1 to 2, one process, 2 to 1 again and the process. Minimum number of process required for constructing a cycle is 2 process, but maximum is n number of processes. Next, very important is temperature. What is temperature? Already you know. Temperature is defined as the degree of hotness or coldness of a body. It is a measure of degree of hotness or coldness of a body is called as the temperature. And it is also called as the level of heat intensity of the body. Temperature is also called as the level of measure of level of heat intensity of a body. It is an intensive thermodynamic property. Already you studied what is intensive, independent of the mass. Temperature, it is an intensive thermodynamic property. Why it is intensive? It is not dependent on the mass. That's why it is an intensive thermodynamic property. Next is, it is measured by means of an instrument that is known as a thermometer. Temperature is measured by thermometer. Unit of the temperature, either it might be Kelvin, degree Kelvin, or degree Celsius, or degree Fahrenheit, and etc. The different types of thermometers are, first one, liquid in glass thermometer. Liquid in glass thermometer. Whatever the thermometer you are using in your chemistry lab, those thermometers are liquid in glass thermometer, because in the glass we are using a liquid. That's why it is called as liquid in glass thermometer. That liquid in glass thermometer again classify into two types based on the liquid what we are using in the glass. Based on the liquid what we're using in the glass, we can classify into two types. First one is mercury. Mercury in glass thermometer, and second one is alcohol in the glass thermometer. In which conditions are using mercury as a liquid in the glass thermometer, and in which conditions are using alcohol as a liquid in the glass thermometer? First one, mercury in the glass thermometer as a liquid in the glass thermometer. Whenever you want to measure the temperature more than 78 degrees Celsius, whenever you want to measure the temperature above 78 degrees Celsius accurately, either it might be 100 degree, 200 degree, 300 degree, 500 degree, yes, in those cases are using a mercury as a liquid in the glass thermometer. Next, alcohol. When we're using the alcohol as a liquid in the glass thermometer, whenever you want to measure the temperature less than 78 degrees Celsius, less than 78 degrees Celsius, not more than 78 degrees Celsius, in those cases we're using alcohol as a liquid in the glass thermometer, because the alcohol boiling point is 78 degree. For that reason, we're using alcohol for measuring maximum temperature is around 78 degree, not more than that, not more than that. Next, gas thermometer. Even though we can use mercury for measuring lower temperature, but if you want to get more accurate result, in those cases are using alcohol as a liquid in the glass thermometer. It is possible for measuring lower temperature 0 degree, 100 degree, sorry, 50 degree, 25 degree. We can measure by using mercury as a liquid in the glass thermometer, but we are not getting much accurate values. If you want to get much accurate value, you have to use alcohol as a liquid in the glass thermometer. Next is gas thermometer. This gas thermometer again divided into two types. First one is constant volume gas thermometer and second one is constant pressure gas thermometer. Already you know gas law, PV equal to MRT, right? PV equal to PV equal to MRT, or PV is directly proportional to T. PV is directly proportional to T. PV is directly proportional to T, right? Yes. First one is constant volume. Whenever the volume constant V equal to constant, at that time P is directly proportional to T. Whenever the volume is constant, at that time pressure is directly proportional to T. P1 by T1 equal to, here P by T equal to, here P by T equal to constant, right? P by T equal to constant. P1 by T1 equal to P2 by T2 equal to P3 by T3 equal to so on equal to constant, right? In this case, if you know P1, if you know P2, if you know T1, if you don't know T2, you can easily identify unknown temperature T2 by using this equation. That is constant volume gas thermometer. Yes. Similarly, constant pressure gas thermometer, same formula. PV is directly proportional to T. Instead of pressure, it is, sorry, instead of volume constant, it is pressure constant, P equal to constant. When P equal to constant, V is directly proportional to T. Then V by T equal to constant. Next, V1 by T1 equal to V2 by T2 equal to V3 by T3 equal to so on equal to constant. Am I right? Right. Then if you know V1, if you know V2, if you know T1, if you don't know T2, at unknown temperature T2 can be easily identified by using this formula. By using this formula. Next is resistor thermometer. This is very important. Already you learned this one in your physics first year or second year. Resistance thermometer, it mainly works on the principle of Wheatstone bridge network. It mainly works on the principle of Wheatstone bridge network. How it works? Here four resistance are there and one voltmeter is connected in between. In that four resistance, we know three resistance. We don't know fourth resistance. That fourth resistance is identified by using a formula, by using a known resistance. That is, if you consider P, Q, R and S are the resistance, in that case, P and Q know, and S you know, you don't know R, you can identify R easily. That is P by Q equal to R by S. P by Q equal to R by S, then R equal to P by Q into S. Once you identify the R, resistance R, based on the resistance R, that resistance is directly proportional to the temperature. That resistance is directly proportional to the temperature. Like this, we are identifying the temperature by using resistance thermometer. Next very important thermometer is thermocouples. Thermocouples are the device which are mainly used to measure the temperature at a particular point. Thermocouples are the device which are mainly used to measure the temperature at a particular point. If you want to measure the temperature at a particular point, you can use the thermocouples. If you want to measure here the temperature, you can use the thermocouples. Yes, the main function of the thermocouples is to measure the temperature at a particular point. There are different types of thermocouples are there. Based on the applications, we're using different types of thermocouples. Yes. With this, we'll wind off the today's session and we'll continue in the next class. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.